Keemolyon asked the question or wanted to talk about something. Yeah, this is great. This is the kind of stuff that's better than just sitting there and, going through the doldrums of, what is it? It's going repetitively through the material till you understand the template. So that's some boring videos. You have to do that on your own. Yeah, I get it. So, okay, my name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the video. Here was the comment and question, and I want to address this because it's some good stuff to talk about. Let me say this too. Your work has opened my eyes to a very deep question that I hadn't ever thought of. What other psychological myth system could we believe in? Or is this structure inherent to our very nature, making works like the Bible and Gilgamesh actual productive roadmaps? Yes, absolutely yes. So the belief systems that hold this template that people believe in are outward-looking religions that have supernatural elements. Hinduism, really Abrahamic material. Really, as far as big religions go, anything that has supernatural in it, I'm going to pull back from Taoism and Buddhism. Even though they use supernatural elements, at the core they know that those are not real things, that they're used to help carry the story, that there really aren't malevolent spirits and things out there working against us. Those are representative of our life experiences and what we must do. People that know Buddhism know that it's not. In the West, people tend to think, oh, that's like our religion. I have a brother one time that was like, well, why do Buddhists worship Buddha? And it's like, they don't worship Buddha. This is not Christianity. It's not like that. People in the West really don't have a good idea about what Buddhism and Taoism are. They are inward looking to yourself, to this whole healing process, to the emptiness, to the watching things come and watching them go, learning that you're a product of your experiences. But they're big religions, but there's core material that's very simple to navigate. The big religions, however, are lifestyles. They're not typically, you don't go and worship Buddha. You might go and meditate, and you might meditate in the presence of statues of the Buddha or something like that, but you're not worshiping Buddha or anything like that, like Christians do. They worship entities. Honestly, the Bible tells us, and we're taught to not idol worship, but that's not described what it is. And honestly, Abrahamic material by default is idol worship. And when they say we're going to stop the idol worship and we're just going to take this stone thing wrapped in gold and put it out in space that you can't see it anymore, that's still idol worship. They just don't have it made out of wood or stone wrapped in gold anymore. Okay. However, I'm going to suggest that is not a lie, that the Bible is very cleverly written in such a way to make it carry it. The people that carry it think they are it. I am this person in the story. I'm the one that's entered the narrow gate. I am the one that is all of that, and it's like, nope. I am one of there are many called, but I'm one of the few chosen. The many called are the people that carry it. It is so artfully made in such a way that people that carry it with their egos go, we're the shit. We're the ones right here. And it's like, no, you're not. You have to turn inward with it. It is carried in a way to make you carry it. This is going to go. It's going to go like wildfire, but it becomes very difficult to navigate. Yet it is supposed to be navigated. We are very far removed from it. Once you start navigating it, you'll see, oh yeah, this is very much intended to be found. Okay, then so as far as the roadmap, I'm working on really finalizing a template. I'm working off of the Joseph Campbell template. There is not complete. He left it very nebulous, and he didn't have creation in there. He didn't have cyclical pain. There was a number of things missing there. So I'm really spending a lot of time going through the Bible, making sure I understand what I have before moving along. But basically, that's exactly the template. If we were to go to Hinduism, we're going to find a story. There's a book called the Bhagavad Gita. People like that one. It's actually a very short story that doesn't cover very much. What it is a story about Arjuna and Krishna, and it's time for Arjuna to go get his land back. So in the story, the way that works, what I've been talking about here, it's time for you to go destroy the city or get what belongs to you. You're at a point in time where it's time to turn inward. So it's going to start like that. You have to destroy a bad city, destroy a bad place, take over your land from somebody else, go get your vineyard back. All of those represent my early life, whatever it is. I was not paying attention. Now it's time for me to go get a hold of that That's what that represents right there. And how we came about is the template, and how we turn inward and heal, how we look at it and go, okay, I see what we have to do. Okay, we're getting called. There's a calling. I don't want to do it. It's going to be hard. Now, when we get into the stories, the way they're made, what we're going to see is that Arjuna has to go do battle against his family. The story is such that his family, there was a land for the family, and at first it was on loan to a large part of the family that was supposed to give it back to a smaller group of family after a period of time, but it didn't happen. So in this way, it's written in such a way that instead of somebody taking it over and you have to go take it back, somebody was allowed to use it. We're living our life without knowing it, and now it's time for us to go get it back. But they won't give it back. They won't relinquish it. There we have our struggle to leave. I can't change. It's hard. And they're going up and down the battlefield in a chariot. Arjuna is the one that has to do battle, and Krishna is the charioteer. Krishna lets him know, you got to do the work. All I can do is drive for you. So here's the higher self and the called person looking at, I have to go address this issue. He talks about it. They talk back and forth. I'll just sum it up. At the end, Arjuna decides, I can't do it. It's too much. I can't go kill my family. It's not worth it. So there's a call and a refusal of the call right there. If we went to Mount Horeb with Moses, we would see Moses talking. God tells him, take your sandals off, you're on holy ground. He's talking to God, the bush is burning. So that would be like Arjuna talking to Krishna. We have Moses talking to God. Instead of it's time to go get my land back, it is now time for you to set my people free. It's time to free your inner being, your inner self. And Moses tells him, yeah, I'm not the wrong person. I don't speak right. I've got issues. They work that through. He gets a supernatural aid right there too in the form of the staff. But right there, the story elements, they get hard to see, but you look at them and go, that's what they're doing conceptually. It's very old, but those are the same locations. And what they're indicating is this point in time where we are struggling. But what you see is, as we continue to move along, is that is exactly, no matter what religion you go to, that's going to be the template that is at the core. Reincarnation means you continue to go back over and over and over again to heal yourself. The Bible doesn't teach reincarnation, but it starts off, if you were to follow the template with Abram and Sarai, and as you go through that story, you're going to find out it's repeating cycles of going inward and healing. So it's not teaching reincarnation, but it's teaching you must go in and heal over and over again. Reincarnation is taught as if it's a physical thing. On the template, what it means is every time you heal something, you're reborn. And you continue to do that until you're purified. You continue to come back after rebirths until you have purified. There you go. So that's exactly the pathway. The complexity of it leads me to believe that as people are figuring this out and society is getting very huge, that it becomes apparent at some point that humans need something incredibly complicated to keep them busy and to keep them occupied. Society's getting big. There needs to be controls. There needs to be beliefs. There's a lot of fear. There's a number of reasons that religions are going to become necessary components of an advancing civilization. It would be bedlam when it's doing that. I don't think that religion solves the problems of evolution necessarily. Quite honestly, when I hear like Christian males here lately, I've been, the ones that come out now that objective morality proves God. They keep changing verbiage, trying to, obscure it in some way. It doesn't take much to distill it, though. Objective morality is a physical property. God is not. You're saying existence, therefore God, somewhere underneath all of that. I don't care what kind of words you stack on top of it. You're saying something physical happened because something supernatural made it. Prove it. But then you talk to them about what that is, and what it makes me think that this is an individual that within their mind is telling me that the fear of God is what prevents people from doing bad things to other people. And it makes me wonder how that person's mind works. It must work that way if they believe that. I would never consider that. I would not think of that, but that person does. What does that tell me? We have different brain types, and that person would be probably out of control. That Christian person would be, I don't know, doing what? If they believe that the fear of God is the only reason that they're not doing immoral things to people. Okay, so all religions, also mythologies, are built on that same template. Yeah, we don't have to get into all that. I've done that before with like Jason and the Argonauts, that whole, how that begins right there. The struggle to leave the past is represented by the struggle to leave that island. The cyclical pain is the Phineas getting his food defiled every day. They finally sail through the clashing rocks through, barely making it with help of Hera, God's help, the help of a goddess. And then if we looked at the Exodus story, we would see that Pharaoh is the element that we're trying to leave, struggling to leave the past. The plagues are coming, showing cyclical pain. But Pharaoh says you can go, and then comes after he changes his mind. So there's this constant struggle to leave. You're finally able to go. God helps you open the Red Sea, and you go through. That these they're conceptual ideas on a single template that represents that's us struggling to leave our past. The cyclical pain is the reason we have to, and we have to turn inward to a very difficult place in order to do it. That's the path. That's the map. That's the map it's nesting. It's a personal map, though, in the head of each person. They have to take it on their own. Now, this is what makes it easy then. Because of the identical nature of it, you can go somewhere to the Dhammapada from the Buddha or the Tao Te Ching from Lao Tzu, these small books, and this stuff is very short verse, and it doesn't have the religious overtones. You know it's about you, and they become easier to interpret, and in some cases are in plain language. Buddha's first verse, this is the very first verse. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. It's founded on our thoughts. It's based on our thoughts. That's it right there. That is so plain language, it's stark. Lao Tzu says the same thing in this way. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. So it becomes cryptic. You can't tell it, you must experience it. The eternal Tao is personally experienced. We can talk about it. That's the Tao. We can talk about the Tao all day long, but it's not eternal for you until you take it. It's just academic. It has to become experiential. If you don't take the path and you only know the path, Jesus' very first one in the Sermon on the Mount is what? Blessed are the poor in spirit, for yours is the kingdom of God, or the kingdom of heaven, or something like that. So it suddenly becomes something that sounds radically different. But spirit is what? That's what you're living through in the background. That's the bundle of memories. And when you're devoid of that, when it's empty, life is good. When you start filling it with judgments, it's there. It's letting us know that it's a mental thing, but it is nested in such a way that is so different that it becomes difficult. So sometimes it's easier to learn it from a Chinese or a Buddhist system, knowing that when you come over here, they're teaching the same thing, but they've got it so thick, it's like, oh my gosh, what do I get out of here? It is very radically different. You've got something that's given to peasants to go out and work, and you're in the rice fields pondering it all day, and you've got another one that's like, we've got a society so big, we have to start making mud bricks, building ziggurats, building, temples, building pyramids, building all kinds of stuff. You can see at that time population was just getting huge and they had to keep people working, and the religions were co-developing at that time. Yeah, you can see. It makes sense. All right, we go back here and look again. Structure inherent to our very nature. It's a human life cycle. It's how we connect with it. Making works like the Bible and Gilgamesh, actual productive roadmaps. Yep. Gilgamesh and Enkidu should sound a lot like, was it Esau and Isaac? Jacob. Who was it? Sometimes I have too much. If I'm not sure, I'll say I'm not sure. Yeah, the hairy one and the non-hairy one. Okay. Let's see then. I want to say this. There's a way that we can actually in modernity see something like this. I don't remember the producer's name, but I saw a video on this where he was visiting, and they had a big thing for Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey, the template, all that kind of stuff. And when he wrote and produced the Star Wars trilogy, the first Star Wars trilogy, Luke Skywalker was the called hero, and he was going to go through the template, the calling, the refusal of the call, the supernatural aid, crossing of the threshold, belly of the whale, gathering up your buddies, all that sort of stuff was the template. And as you go through it, you see it happening. Luke is called. He's the son of Darth. Nobody knows that to begin with, but there's a special person here. We don't know that to begin with. Uncle Owen tells him he can't go. So you've got a calling and a refusal of the call. I got the video. I want to go. I can't. No, I can't. So something happens that allows him to go. Then he goes and gets the supernatural aid. He goes and gets training from Yoda and Dagobah. And it goes on. He gets his buddies. The adventure goes on. I don't want to make it too long. But if you go through that trilogy, it seems like you watch that movie and you could really emotionally connect with it. It was like you would watch the movie and come out going, wow, I feel different for having just observed that experience. Not really realizing this is a template with us in it. Then you get into the other Star Wars where Disney picks up, or whoever it is later that starts producing them, and they're not following that template. They're just making space adventure movies. And you would look at them, and even if they're okay or not, you might say it was a good movie, but you don't get caught up in it. You don't feel it viscerally like you're in the story. They're not following the template. The template hooks into the human psyche. All right, it's important to know hero's journey stories, if we get into them and we can hook into them and we can get caught up into the character and we go through and follow the sequence properly, makes us feel like big shit, because it's a healing process. It is. It shows accomplishing a victory and having a positive change over something that was negative that was after you. And that's exactly what is happening in the psyche. In the story, that's what's happening. There's some bad element that's coming after you, and it's up to you to somehow defeat it, but you don't want to. It's hard, it's big, it's scary, it's something, but somehow you overcome it, you persevere, victory ensues, yay, happiness happens. That's the pathway to inner healing. That's why we hook into those and feel so good with them, because it's us. We don't know that, though. So yeah, it hooks into the psyche. Okay, what was the next thing here? The analog system framework is this bad associated with 8:11:21, if I remember correctly. 2 reactions from your findings. Is there a weight to these numbers outside to these stories? That is, would 8 signify something negative in life in general, like a negative signpost? Reason being in second reaction, like 8 and 11, and they seem to have fun occurrences in my life, kind of like your verse that made you look. Cannot remember which. Okay. All right, so yeah, in this case, mine was the 747 story, the Luke 747. It got that detailed, and my middle name is Luke, and somebody gave me a password, Luke 747, and I'd been getting those 747 hits, and I was like, what is this? It was freaking me out. Then you go to the Bible, and Luke 7:47, for all of her sins were forgiven because she loved much. And you're like, that's the answer right there. You got to get to that point. That inner self, it has to be so, it's got to let go. It's got to say, you know what? I'm just going to humble myself and not be caught up in this somehow. Anyway, it was a very key thing. So if you're getting hits that are something that is not of the system, I don't know what to say. You would probably have your own personal things, and they will affect you in certain ways that are based on how your experiences work. In this material right here, there's a structure built in. 8 is very common, honestly. If here's what 8 is. Let's go to the Tao Te Ching. I don't know if you remember me going over these before. I'll go over them very quickly right now just to get to that point. But the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. Okay, so we want the eternal Tao. So what do we need to know? That it's something you can't tell. It's something you must do mentally. It's a mental process. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. Naming is what? We don't want to name things mentally. What does that mean? The unnameable is the eternally real. I still don't quite hook into it. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Okay, now I get it. Naming is where I am, this is me. I am a mental product. If things are unnamed, I am devoid of, like naked unashamed in the Garden of Eden. The unnameable is the eternally real. I don't want to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, or the tree of life. The unnameable is the eternally real. This is a mental process. Eating from the tree means experiencing the life. The unnameable, you're not mentally naming experiences yet. Naming is the origin of all particular things. That's when I'm beginning to judge life. I'm hurt. I like this. I don't like that. That's 8 right there. Naming is 8. You could call it sin. Sin is another analogous term that makes it difficult to access. For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God makes no sense unless you're just such a passive wimp. What? Are you serious? I have not sinned. I'm not that person. And you're telling me that I'm responsible for eternal death because of something I didn't do that I wouldn't have done? And you're going to punish me forever? What kind of hell is that? That's crazy right there. It doesn't reason out. However, if you understand that these are analogous terms and that you're living from the higher awareness, and that as we live in life, as we go through the stories, you see as we go along the God disappears until after there's a point where we reattach. The hero's journey begins. What happens right here is the same thing. Sin means that we're beginning to live through our judgments, our life experiences, what we're naming. For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. If we begin to live through life experiences and cease to live through our higher awareness is what that truly means. To me, it's the only way it would make sense, and it remains on the template consistent with everything else, where it's really a case of a simple template that is there continually in use with a million different wrapping papers. So, if you're getting numbers that are 8, 11, something like that means something different, that's on a different system. This right here is very specifically, 8 means the day that you've named, the day that you've started judging, the day that you are no longer, yay, I'm happy-go-lucky, pure, and disconnected. I am now beginning to connect with life. 8, 11s, 13s, those are numbers that hold the negative things, the Judas and the beast, whatever, things like that. I don't recall offhand. But those are the repeated ones in that frame amount. So here it represents that point on the template, which all of it really represents, all of it, no matter what, it represents something you've named. It's whether it's a sin, whether it's a beast, whether it's a word that's going to be made flesh, all of that stuff is something that you've just named. It's something that you've said from the 4 agreements. It's an agreement. From the Tao Te Ching we just had, caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. That's the same thing. Desire means I'm caught, I'm hanging into whatever it is that I won't let go of, and I see the repeated nature of it. Because of something that naming is the origin of all particular things. Free from that, I see the mystery. Caught in it, yeah. I had this experience, so this is my belief. And now I'm going to live through that belief until I go, whoa, what have I done? I got to stop living through that belief. That's the process that's in here. And then how to go do that. Turning inward. 2 thresholds. Turn inward. I'm at my memories. Yeah, here's what I did today. You want to know what? No, that's in a part you don't get to. That's the 2nd threshold. That's the hard one. That's the difficult threshold. If it's there in the stories. They're not all that complicated. Exodus, yeah. Greek myth, yes. The Voyage of the Argo, absolutely. Has all those elements in there. Exodus is much bigger. But ultimately what they're doing is a big story is holding out, 10 plagues is holding the idea that it's a struggle to leave my past or this habit or whatever it is. I'm going to quit doing this. I promise. Then later you give in. Okay, one more. Next day, okay, that's it. I'm done. Later you give in. Okay, yeah. That this process begins going on, that there's this cyclical struggle to leave. I'm giving in. The past is coming after me. I cannot escape it. I keep falling into the pattern of it. I need supernatural aid, which means what? There's no supernatural aid. It's the knowledge of what to do to change the frequency of the memory. We're manifesting a change in the memory by understanding that there is a frequency, honestly, that is I mean, today we can say that. Back then they couldn't have. Somehow at the quantum level, the memory is holding an emotional state to it at a quantum level that's causing us to flow in a field and continue to have that experience. It's helping direct part of the flow. We've got all these different beliefs. That's this massive flow. What do we want to flow through? We want a pure, simple flow, not a complex, all over the place flow. So the idea, that would be the mote in the eye, clearing that out. It's all analogous verbiage for the same thing. It's a simple matter of saying you have these belief systems, or you have these beliefs in place that you're living through, and these memories and the emotional state of the memories that you're living through, and in order to stop feeling them, you have to find a way to resolve them. Period. Otherwise, you're going to live through them. You're going to. If you want to resolve them, it's going to be damn hard. If you don't resolve them, life is going to suck. All right, as I look through here, I think that pretty well covers it, so I'll end the video. It took a while. I did want to reply to it because it's fun. I mean, I want to talk to people. I'll be honest with you. I must be some pretty lonely person. It's a rare thing, I think, what I'm doing and finding, so it's kind of boy, I think it's what they were doing in antiquity. I really believe that. But it's so foreign to us that it's like, what the heck is that guy talking about? I don't get it. We're so disconnected from it. It's just a very difficult thing. I realized that for many years I've been somehow, for some reason, going after this stuff, collecting all the necessary bits and pieces to put it all together, but it was not an easy thing. So I realized that it's a very difficult to see structure. But for people that do see it, I think what we're seeing is something that's very old that was in place, that's known, though, in the background. It would be this would be known in the background. It's huge. It is shared by who? If Greeks are building myth on it, if Hindus are building Hinduism on it, if Jews are building Judaism on it, if Babylonians are building the Enuma Elish on it, and on and on and on, who's in the background? One template. Somebody's universal. Somebody's about humanity and not about a tribe. That's who's in the background. I guess I think it through and go, if it's a shared thing, somebody must know it. You have to see it, though, to understand that it's a shared thing. If you can't see it, and it's so hard to see, oh my gosh. Yeah, I understand how much time I've spent on it, and if it wasn't for the computer, I would not be here. I would absolutely not. I would never have had this in memory enough to see what's going on. Yeah, absolutely. So there's a big fun thing. It's a puzzle, but it has to be unlocked. There has to be people that downloading these and looking through stuff and going, okay, yeah, I see those patterns. What's going on? Other people have to start doing it. I'm very limited. Anyway, okay, I wanted to reply. That was a fun comment. I appreciated that. Is there something different? It sounds like there might be something different going on for you, and I would just go for that. But understand that keep it compartmentalized from this material right here, where 8 really means first sin. Same thing. That's what it means, which means naming. Naming is the origin of all particular things, which means I have now made a mental commitment to a memory and an emotional state that somehow is going to be derogatory. But we're all going to live that way. We're going to see things happen and go, boy, that was stupid. Look at that dumb person. Boy, are they this, or they that, or they that. Before we know it, we're more and more and more. And until you step back and go, what am I doing? I am not that. I had to live that to get here, but I am not that. Anyway, yeah, that's my take on it. Anyway, all right, hope the video was helpful. Ask any questions. This is very good for me. This is very helpful. This is a recharge, just to have somebody reach out sometimes. All right, Thanks. Talk to you later.